the roster they find that power in. As here we go, game number 1 draft, T1 will have first big priority. A little bit less power on blue side here for T1's crazy counter picks.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I actually think that you're right, with KT wanting to sit on that red side for as long as possible, try and deny the amount of flexibility that T1 has. Although, if they go for the mega flex, where we just don't know, even after 5 champions are locked in, we just still don't know what's going to be going where, that can be when T1 can still utilize that flexibility even on the blue side. As 3 junglers already taken away. The Ashe ban has actually been figured out here by
Karma.
Good at Hangman, these guys. Is I really love this Karma ban. It forces the Caitlyn to be banned away and might mean that we just have the good old Lucian Zeri handshake.
Now, what's really interesting here is KT have the Annie, so they don't have Karma to stave the pressure off here and control that lane, but they can play Annie. They have not played it yet, and this is something that I think really caught KT off guard in that D+ series where they didn't really have a plan for this type of scenario, and Zeri could be locked in here with an Annie. You don't necessarily have to grab a jungler just yet here, but we are opting into, and I think this is exactly how KT should play it, is play Zeri into the Lucian. You'll be laning fine there. Save those counter picks for the 4th and 5th. Let's see what they lock in with it. It will be the Wukong that we've seen paired with this Zeri so often with the Elise banned, Sejuani gone. You feel pretty comfortable about the tier list right now.
Yeah, I would have really loved to see the Annie pick, but I guess BDD doesn't want to run into the potential Faker counter pick. I mean, these teams may have figured out that Orianna exists, and it can be very difficult to play. BDD and Faker, both of these players, extraordinary Orianna players in the past. So I don't know whether they want to take that risk, as Nami is going to be hovered here.
I wonder if T1 will be bold enough to try to play the Lee Sin. You know, you don't have the Elise, but Lee Sin kind of in this meta, the second best thing that you could dive with, and will have a lot more power before Wukong can really come online and defend.
Oh, he's doing it!
Take the Annie away.
Well, now it means that KT have the opportunity to ban away Vi, deny that from Oner. They do now have to lock in the Lulu, otherwise they'll lose it. So you're not able to actually go for any counter pick at this particular point in time because the Lulu is so important.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll just see like Lee Sin, Vi bans here, take those away from Oner, and then KT will just see what T1 are going to play here first, because the Annie is face up. You know, this is not going to be flexible with the Nami already locked in. They're actually going to instead put the focus on to Zeus' Jace, which I think is wise.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be the first ban. We'll see whether KT actually do decide to ban away a Renekton or go for the R4 just for a little bit of safety there. T1 still making their minds up as far as what these bans are going to look like.
Jax
taking off the board.
Keen, he's 7-0 on this pick, and it is right now in the LCK even blindable at this point in time, so just going to take that one away. So this is thinning out the pool quite a bit. There's the Lee Sin I was talking about, prioritizing it even over the Vi here. With Annie being locked in for Faker already, and not as much setup guaranteed in the mid lane here for the Vi. You're not going to have any flexibility with something like an Ahri, so I do like this Lee Sin ban more, especially because it's Oner. See what this final ban is going to be here. Could be something like a Fiora, and just take away Keen's ability to side lane and slow this game down for the Zeri to get those items online.
They are taking their time on this one, as the Victor will be taken away. Of course, has been the more common answer to the Annie. It's not my personal favorite, but that's BDD's Azir, and he's going to lock it in.
I don't like this Victor ban that much because, it's strong in the matchup, but it's BDD. He's got the Azir fallback, and it might just be Azir Renekton here for KT now. Could still, of course, consider that Fiora here, but with the Gnar locked in, feeling much better about a Renekton pick. And the Vi feels so obvious with the jungle tier list so thinned out. We'll see if it is going to be that Renekton or if Keen has something special planned. That Fiora kind of second best option for me right now in terms of slowing the game down and getting to a point where we hit that 25-minute mark, Zeri's online, aiming is ready to play the game.
I just hope that it's not a Sylas lock-in. Because I don't think it worked out very well for Liv Sandbox yesterday. Going for the weird Azir Flex situation.
Not a big fan of that one myself either.
Does he just... Okay, it is the Camille.
Okay.
I like this. Keen just trying to fight fire with fire here. We've seen it can be very dangerous in the early game. But this is a really fun matchup, right? Because this is Zeus' Gnar. It's a very different Gnar to most of the others. It's what he debuted on. He was extraordinarily powerful on it. Still is to this day. But Keen... he has the late game power now with the Camille. You can survive the laning phase if played well.
Yeah.
So I think the Keen test and the Zeus exam are looking like they're going to be pretty interesting this game.
If you're a fan of either of these top laners, this is going to be an incredible game to watch. And for the bottom side of the map here, Aiming and Lehens, I think, are going to be quite left out to dry here, as BDD needs to get prio here against this Annie pick in mid, and then maybe you can operate around topside. But if you try to play the Camille into Zeus' Gnar alone, because we have seen Camille's beat Gnar in this straight-up 1v1, but if you don't commit resources there and you're hoping you're going to win that, you're trying to make an impact bottom side, I think the map just kind of falls apart for KT so early, because T1 are so good at reading that type of jungle movement and then taking more advantages across the map, trying to even all-in a Camille under turret, for example, something that Zeus is so good at.
Yeah.
So I think that resources have to be given to Keen, and this is KT trusting that Aiming and Lehens will get it done with the nerfs to Lucian Nami, how great Aiming Zeri has been in the lane. I think that you're trusting here as KT that Cuz can put more of his power through mid and top side and then try to get this Camille ahead, be a guaranteed split push win condition later on.
It's a very pretty picture there.
Very, very sick.
Very, very cool. Oh man, we're just drawing everyone. That was like a Katarina just ganking someone. Kind of cool. But T1, this is pretty cookie cutter draft, right? Like, this is looking at the tier list, picking the champions that are at the top, and KT doing a similar thing, but there is so much KT flavor here, right? There is split push potential, there's late game power, there's all those things that KT's relied upon. It's just whether they can survive to that stage of the game. Let's hop into the rift, get into game one. Oh, you can hear it in the fans here in Lowell Park. This is a completely packed stadium, of course.
It is every night, you know.
It is, but
it feels denser today because it's the telecom war.
Dense is the perfect word. It's so much esports fandom in here.
Someone's like, there's two people in one seat, you know. Like
yeah. Even the laps are full. You know, that's how this one's going. Is Gumayusi, this could be. You don't want game over at level 1. That's not what we don't want that.
Yeah, we don't do resets here, you know. This is not a Super Mario 64 speed run.
No, it is not. This is not simply, this is the LCK. Okay, Gumayusi is going to be okay.
Yep.
Lehen's going to poke his head out, sees that Keria and Gumayusi are coming over here, and looks like we are just going to have regular laning. And
good ward here from Faker, actually. BDD, you know, down on the bottom side of the map, so he gets this one off for free, so we'll be able to tell Cuz is pathing, and this is really important information for Zeus in particular to make sure he's safe up there to try to use the range advantage versus this Camille early. So we see first strike Annie again. Will be the first strike Azir too. Very common.
Yep, scorching in that mid lane, scorching in the bottom lane as well. It's just scorches all over the place here. As this, oftentimes we talk about the top lane being completely irrelevant. I think it's going to be very relevant in this game because so much of T1 is going to be relying on whether Zeus finds those angles, whether Zeus and Faker are on the same page. But Keen's control of side lanes is going to be important. And there are some nightmares in my brain that still exist, right? Of Keen playing Fiora and then trying to team fight and things like this. Of course, Camille much better at team fighting, similar to Jax in that regard. But you still need to take control of sides because that's where you have so much extra power. Let's see whether BDD can save this horrendous loss streak that Azir is on right now.
2-13 on 13.3 has been a really rough pick, but you know, these are the two players in mid right now that you trust more than anyone who might be able to help remedy some of that. As Cuz path bottom side here, and he does not have the same sort of information about where Oner is, but is going to check try.
Yeah, Gumayusi dashing forward. Lehen's taking so much damage here. The Ignite still ticking down as Aiming trying to fight back. There is the tempo heal.
Really feels like KT wanted to try to bait an exchange here so that Cuz could come down and make something happen, but they just get outplayed. Cuz doesn't commit, and that's not the trade you wanted here in this 2v2.
Yep, Keen getting some vision down, pinged immediately as Aiming and Lehen's gonna have to use their summoner spells this time around. They'll have theirs back a little bit later, as Keen was just being frustrating here. Zeus was just timed to himself towards that top side.
They do get level 3 first. Can't make anything of it, not really denying any CS, but that was a really good move from Keen to try to deny some farm and also verify, of course, where Oner is on the map, which is really huge for this lane that's pushing against the Lucian Nami as Cuz backed away. But now this lane back fully in control of T1 will be an earlier back here for Aiming and Lehens. All vision down in the river, including that Scuttle Crab. Wow. Looks like Aiming's going to stick around to catch this wave.
Oh, Zeus baiting Keen here just a little bit. Tactical sweep comes in. Keen's completely out of mana, and Oner is coming in. Is the flash going to work out is the question, as Oner's just holding onto the Vault Breaker. There it is. Guarantee that they can kill him in the CC. Beautifully done.
And this is exactly the opposite of what I thought KT was going to do with this draft. I thought instead of hovering bottom side with Cuz, they would just let Aiming and Lehens kind of be left to their own devices, grab an early ward with that level 2 where you have some power with the Zeri Lulu, and then just kind of sit down there and farm while trying to get advantages to Keen. That ward from Faker meant that they knew exactly where Cuz was. Cuz then shows on the map, and so Oner paths topside here, knowing he has topside Scuttle control and that additional ward on Raptors, so there's no way the Wukong could be here. And now suddenly your Camille is behind. So everything going wrong here for KT Rolster in this early game.
Yeah, and continuing to play on vision here as well. T1 with so much control. I was going to talk about it earlier, but Keen decided to go ahead and dive up towards the top side, so I got a little bit interrupted. BDD is struggling so much in this lane right now. Bubble going to connect onto Lehens. Oner's here as well. And Aiming, he might pay the price for it. There's the flash forward. Beautifully lands the Vault Breaker, and Aiming down to 200 health. This is all going wrong.
Oh, Extendo!
Yeah, that was an attempt onto Keria.
Yeah.
They did have to flash.
Yeah, that was one of those moments where I'm like, I don't know if you need to flash that, but he decides to force it. Extendo goes down. He's like, maybe Cuz is here. I don't know for sure. I don't have that same sort of vision control in the river, so he does flash after taking a turret shot there, but kind of cheeky move. So getting a flash on a Nami feels okay, but not great considering the state of the lane here. The Dirk is ready for Guma already, and this is exactly how you want this Lucian Nami lane to be going, minus, of course, a lost flash here. And they've made big impacts now on top side and bottom side as Oner is just running this rift. You know, both making the play top side and now finding something bottom here. Cuz is in the fountain, and Oner is just like, I'm down here. I've already done my work top side. You've got control ward vision here below the mid lane. They've got it there on top side. So Zeus knows he's safe to continue to use that range advantage top. And this is just T1 winning everywhere.
Yeah, and Keria would have died. He's in turret range, just trying to kill Aiming. And speaking of Aiming, he is going to get helped out by the polymorph from Lehens, but he's still getting taken down very, very low. Another Ignite used just to get control. As Cuz moving on over, but he doesn't really have an angle. Oner once again getting aggressive. Tibbers goes down. That's a real dead. Oh, no, never mind. Shift some sands. Get after the flash. He'll be okay. But does have to use everything to get out of this.
KT group up here for a potential punish, and now they're just kind of awkwardly grouped for Drake that they can't take. And this is a lot of time lost here as Amy's going to get some honey fruit, but they're going to have to back away. So BDD really losing out. You mentioned him having a weak laning phase here so far as Cuz.
Well, Tib is very, very low. Going to get smoked as the stun is ready. Cuz is very low. Does need to be careful.
Got to get that Tibbers money, I guess, you know, whatever you
Hell yeah.
get.
That's worth as much as a Nexus, man.
Same value.
Yeah, dude.
Same amount of gold earned.
I feel like you should just win the game by killing Tibbers for that reason alone.
Yeah,
that makes sense. It's the same. It's worth the same.
Yeah, that Drake, half the value.
Yeah.
So, look, I'm worried about how this game is going for KT because Keen, you know, he was struggling in the laning phase, as you mentioned. Now he's down to Flash. He bought Merc Treads first. I mean, that's the kind of state of the game we're watching here with this Azir pick, which he chose to opt into the Annie, hoping he's going to get an early lead. You know, he has that range advantage, can play around the stun. He's so behind now. Speaking of behind.
There's the culling. Minion Wave turns up in the nick of time. But Gumayusi Keria are just absolutely running this lane. And I just don't see the light at the end of the tunnel at this point, right? Because T1 are only going to get stronger from here. Their 2-item spikes across the board, absolutely terrifying. And KT, I don't think that you can just try and wait for a 30-minute win condition when T1 are so good at closing out games.
Yeah, you didn't get first Drake, which was, you know, that's not normal with this composition, but you kind of gave that over even though you're grouped in the area. You didn't have any cross-map power. This Camille slightly behind here. It does finally have this Sheen, but played steel caps to match it. Zeus isn't afraid of anything. You can't fight for this Rift Herald, but you don't want to give it up either because you're like, I know what T1 can do with this. They're already 1,500 gold ahead. They could put it wherever they want realistically here. They can get the Lucian super fed, get that Gale Force accelerated. They could try to accelerate this Annie towards that Rod of Ages. Like, whatever T1 gets with the Rift Herald is amazing, but you can't fight. Cuz has 6. but you're still a Zeri comp. You know, BDD doesn't have flash, Keen, not in a position where you can threaten the Gnar before this Herald, so you just have to give it up and just continue to be sad about your current game state.
Yep. I mean, Keen needs 2 items before he's really happy about any situation in this game as Faker turns back up into this mid lane. BDD's going to look for the sweep, gets the flash out of Faker there. That's all you can really hope for as Lehens and Cuz were lying in wait. Good flash there from Faker, but it does mean that the return gank is a possibility.
And Aiming's, pressure here should be somewhat relieved by the fact that they don't know where this Wukong is. So Guma and Keria have to respect that he still does have flash ult. Like, Cuz just going to stick around here and grab Raptors, not going to hard force or anything like that.
Zeus is having a good time here in this top lane. Oh dear. I just don't, we can't even see it from the play from KT, right? Yes, they get the flash out of Faker, but I think that T1 are more than happy to give that one up because that's 3 people being used to get some pressure in mid lane when the Rift Herald goes down at the same time. Zeus is proxying between waves. Gumayusi, Keria are more than happy to continue shoving this lane forward. We need to see more from KT, but their composition doesn't offer them a lot of that.
Yeah, it really doesn't. And you're just going to be weathering the storm here. It looks like Zeus is considering, at the moment, going to drop that Herald bottom, but actually now pathing mid. BDD is backing here, does have teleport, so he can kind of coast between these 2 lanes, try to identify where Cuz is right now, and Cuz is just kind of lurking here in the tri-brush, has that flash engage available, but there's so much vision here in the river. Nothing he does outside of being on top of this turret is going to be a surprise to T1, unless they're like literally in melee range of this turret.
Well, Cuz is going to move on over and look for Oner here. Lehens was alongside him, but they're not going to be able to actually close in. And of course, the vision control is just ridiculous.
Yeah. T1's just like, all right, cool story, bro.
Yeah.
Back to what we were doing down here. I see you over there. I've also got the Scuttle for extra movement speed. And Cuz here, if he flashes onto Guma, you're still going to have a hard time killing him. And you don't want to commit your flash. You're just hoping for an overextension here. As Cuz just has to be here so that Aiming and Lehens don't get dove further.
Well, there's the Vault Breaker onto Cuz. Cease and Desist comes through as well as Tidal Wave is going to get the knock up. The Wild Growth is going to be there. Good bubble. Connects onto Lehens. Is now Cyclone going to be there. Oner diving forward. BDD and Faker fighting towards the top side as Gumayusi. A lot of damage onto Aiming, who does ult, and immediately T1 get out of there. Don't want to give Zeri her certification as Lehens. He has to flash. As now KT, can you do anything here? Keria is flashing onto them. The ebb and flow value is just absurd. And that is going to be the 3rd kill here. Keria picks that one up. Now Aiming, I don't know about this one, as that's a real dead Zeri. Emperor's Divide onto Faker underneath the turret here. One shot will come forward as, Annie's just pretty tanky, man.
BDD was mid that whole time. That exchange was so extended that he certainly could have rotated over and tried to set up for an Emperor's Divide. He had flash as well. And then when Faker comes over, he Emperor's Divides him, but Faker flashless still gets out. And this has just gone from bad to worse here as Cuz is trying to force a play bottom side instead of helping out his top laner. Like, everything here is disastrous because T1 can dive this turret, right? If Cuz actually isn't here. So he decides, okay, I'm going to come into this exchange. Tidal Wave follow-up hits him. He has Wild Growth, but this fight is already lost. And look at BDD. He just opts out. Faker has no flash. He does, but he's like, I don't think I can turn this, Tibbers is up. He's taking a bad trade. Can't be here. And if Cuz tries to play around topside where Zeus is also winning at the same time, by the way, then they just dive the bottom turret and get the whole thing and get the kills. They get the kills anyways. Keria takes some of the way. Great ebb and flow here. But, at the end of the day, T1 are still winning topside. You can see the Gnar on the top. And then Faker comes back to mid to try to catch BDD, survives. And already grabbing that mandate. I mean, this is the spike that you want here with the early kills. I mean, sure, you would have liked them to be on the Lucian, but you'll take the advantage regardless.
I actually think that it's totally fine at this point in the game, right, to accelerate the Nami, because now at like level 7, at 12.5 minutes into the game, you have that mandate. Oftentimes it's like, oh, catch up, Nami. We've already got the Gale Force done. But now he can just buff up Gumayusi to no end. And Aiming Lehens, like this lane is well and truly over. And as you can see with the gold, like the game's feeling in a real rough spot here for KT.
I mean, it's almost donezo. Like the comeback ways here for KT are based on Cuz's flash ults, right? And trying to flank as BDD has no money. The Annie is just naturally scaling up here now with the Rod of Ages.
Yep.
Stopwatch is online here too, and It's going to be the second Drake of the game again. This is common, right? A 2 Drake lead with the Lucian Nami lane, but not with a 4,000 gold on top of it lead.
KT have all the information here, right? But they just don't have a way of actually fighting T1. They don't have enough stats. They don't have enough stuff. And it's when you have a vision advantage and you actually just can't use it, that's when you know the game is really doomed.
Yeah. It's just the fact that Cuz has to camp this to make sure his lane doesn't get destroyed is huge. Okay, Nate's going to trickster over the wall.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to seeing Cuz actually manage to do something, right? Because there's the disengage. They do get the tidal wave, but this is Cuz coming through and getting cooldowns. He's got cooldowns a couple of times here in this game, but otherwise...
I mean, they will die if he's not here, but he also can't make any plays. Like, he lives in this Tribrush now. That is his domicile. Like, that is where he dwells. And he's just been here for, like, the last 5 minutes. Like, please don't kill aiming. I need him to scale. I need him to come online. And this means that Keen has no agency topside. He has no assistance here. Zeus has taken red buff, and if Cuz has to be bottom side here, you're losing everywhere, as Keen can't do anything on his own at this moment in time. He's going to at least come over here and contest. But too late.
Zeus is going to be able to pick that one up. Pretty close there for Keen, but not able to get through. And Gumayusi will take down this turret. This game falling apart for KT right before their eyes. As Cuz will come over and at least try to take Second Herald. Second Herald is a consolation prize at best.
They're
not even going to be able to do that.
This is Zeus Nar power. You know, we haven't really looked at it.
Well, I mean, I think it's that, plus it's Oner setting up Zeus for the ability to destroy the lane.
Yeah, well, he's just like, well, I will win this on my own, by the way. And you guys, I don't want to see Oner ever. I want you to be bottom side non-stop. I want you to actually be putting the threat on this Zeri, because that's their real win condition. I've already gotten a kill on Keen with your help earlier. So, like, don't come back. Like, just one is fine, and I'm going to be self-sufficient up here. And sometimes you see players like Doran down 1-0, 2-0 as Camille do some crazy all-in and come back, right? And Keen has just not had that agency this game. No. 20 CS down now, in fact, lost a lot of control over this jungle. And now Oner, when they group up, guess what? He's here too.
Well, they do know exactly what's going on. There's the Cyclone. Cease and desist comes through as Oner's going to flash immediately. Cuz dives after him, but he's going to take so much damage. Zeus, can you find an Emperor's Divide? Gets rid of him, but it's too late. They trade junglers for now as aiming in the hands, trying to stand their ground against the T1 bottom lane. A 1-for-1 for the losing side is generally better, but it's still not a whole lot. Okay, let's see what Keen can do here as Tactical Sweep does not a whole lot. And yeah, it's just a culling.
Faker's coming over with stun prepped, by the way, after pushing 2 waves of minions.
Flashes up. Oh, Keen, this is dangerous.
He will get away.
Get out.
Faker just crashed 2 waves of minions into that inner turret on bottom side during that entire fight. He's like, yeah, you guys are maybe going to trade 1-for-1, but we're getting more.
Well, Amy's going to try and skate out of this one. There is the wild growth. As BDD's golden under a turret, that's a nah. That's a dead BDD on the Azir. And Azir starting to continue to feel real awkward here in the LCK. As Bear drops on top of the Scissor Legs lady, and it's just I feel like the game's done. Well,
it is done.
It's been done for a while.
It's been done.
It's like it keeps telling me over and over again. T1 keep telling us this game's done. By the way, this game's done. By the way, the game, it's over.
This is the kind of game that we don't see in Game 2 from T1. We see it in Game 1, right? Where you show up with a standard draft, you play it out beautifully. It's Jungle Gap City here. You get the early advantage top side. I think Cuz's pathing is definitely the most suspect part of this game for me, for KT, but it's one small lead for Nar means we're only playing bottom. We're only playing bottom. Zeri can't play the game. Cuz has to sit in that Tribrush.
Oh, this is cute. They actually want the inhib to go down so that they can farm.
It's the freak inhibitor where there's a whole 20-minute video about why this is the right move for KT, but we'll see if it gives them some free farm here to try to slow this game down. Watch Faker in the bottom lane while all this is happening, as Cuz has to flash for this, and it's a trade of junglers. But Faker's just pushing waves in. Keen shows up super late, and if this is more coordinated from KT, maybe you get 2 kills here, but it's just so disjointed. And this is...
Sometimes you just get chased down by a mini now.
He's got no money. He has no gold. He has to stopwatch here, and he's still doomed. Like, this is a very behind Azir. And then Faker's just like, oh, you're flanking me? I don't even need to flash for this. If you're going to walk at me, sure, thank you.
And what was the idea there?
I mean, it was desperation. He has no ability to turn that fight even with his Hextech ultimatum. He's just going to die there. It's just desperation here from KT. Like, thank you for the mid inhib. We'll take some free minions in our base. That's where Aiming wants to farm, is in the base. Please.
Yeah.
Let me farm freely. Just let Zeri scale, please. Oh.
And there can be times where like leaving up that inhibitor can work, right? But with the way that the game is accelerating, T1 going to move on over and take a bit of a timeout to secure Soul Point here.
Well, this just means 20-minute Baron, right? I mean, they just to get Baron on spawn. Do they have the greatest Baron damage? No, but do they have enough with this mid inhibitor down and KT being in their base? Yeah, they can. I mean,
can KT ever walk into their own red side jungle? No.
Nope.
So it doesn't actually matter. They could take like 2.5 minutes to kill Baron, and KT would still have absolutely no right to be there.
Look at the timing of this, too. They get the Soul Point here with 45 seconds until Baron. They have a perfect reset timer. Like, look at everyone on T1. Zeus has teleport, by the way. The only one who doesn't reset, who preps the top wave for extra vision. He can back here if he wants to. He doesn't actually have to. He has Sterix. He can back if he wants, but he doesn't need to. He can teleport over here. Now T1 going to group for this Baron in 30 seconds here. Everything is prepped. Mid is pushed. Bot is pushed. There's defensive vision around the Drake. Not that there was any chance anyone could have contested Oner when he took that Soul Point, but like, there's nothing I can even say like, oh, T1 could have done this a little bit better. No, actually no.
No, and also it doesn't matter because whether they could do it better or not is irrelevant because right now they're just cruising, right? At this point, it's like, maybe we should do worse macro so that we can hide our strategy so it's not on the tape, you know? Like, at this point, I think the game kind of wins itself.
Yeah, there's the on-spawn Baron.
Faker standing on a ward. Doesn't matter, guys.
Keen maybe could have pushed for a bounty. They're going to contest.
Well, Faker is going to go golden. There's a tidal wave, gets a lot of value. Cuz going to go down first here. A cease and desist, I believe, was onto Cuz's clone. Doesn't matter, guys. Keen going to take a fair bit of damage. T1 still rather low, apart from Zeus, who's just doing a 1v1 battle with the Baron.
The Tibbers is actually getting so much damage done.
Tibbers is so mad. Look at it.
And Baron is going to reset here, but the base is open. I mean, this is the reason why KT can't really contest here is that every time they kind of fight in the neutral like this, T1's getting value elsewhere. So T1 could just be like, all right, so now you're gone, we do it again. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to start this right back up. Don't even care.
Teleport available here for Faker as well, and he can bring a full health Tibbers back. He's going to regen back up again.
It's like, would you like to contest Baron or still have a Nexus alive? You know, you could choose, Kate.
Oh, no! Rip. Yeah, they lost it. That is also the Baron going down. And so Faker standing on vision. He had to use the cooldown for his Zhonya's. And there was a cease and desist used on a clone.
Look at this call from Keen. He has the ward here that Faker's on, and he backs before teleporting here. By the time he shows up, fight is already won for T1. And he's super low, obviously, as he gets burned down. And then T1 have to back away for a second, but they just let the minions do their work. And Keen is just so desperately trying to get something done with that TP play. He could have kept pushing bot and got some bounty gold, but are there really any good choices you can make at this point for KT? Not really.
I think the good choice would be to think about how you're going to fix it for Game 2.
I think that's what the coaching staff is doing as we speak.
Yeah. I even think that KT should stop thinking about this game because it's only going to make you tilted moving towards the next one. It's about that done. And we don't like, well, we do often talk about games being not necessarily winnable. You know, in positions like this, but it doesn't feel good to say that a game's over. But this one's just the most done.
Yeah, I mean, the observers are like, they just wrote this is done by zooming out.
Yeah.
It's all over the screen. It's
Jonas Strong's tempted to actually just zoom in on the Nexus and wait. That's not true. He would never do that.
He wouldn't do that, but he wants to, but he wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, I could do that. You could just go, you know, go and take a restroom break real quick. But KT, there is unfortunately, I mean, not even a flank angle here. Kane has no teleport. BDD has teleport, but he will just be focused if he tries to do anything with his Emperor's Divide. He has no items. Like, he has no damage in this game.
No, there's just no tools to actually get anything done. As charging a Vault Breaker here. Here's Oner, and he's just going to clear out some vision. And we're just going to take all of the structures here. One Nexus turret remains, because, yeah, just going to get jumped on by Zeus. And they're just continuing to walk around in circles. There is no actual good choice to make here for KT, and therefore, like, even if we say, like, oh, KT, go for a fight, yeah, but they can't win anything. There's a Hextech ultimatum into the backline. Gumayusi Just going to press the culling button. He does get polymorphed as Cuz tries to dive on top of him. Decent CC, but he's just going to get wiped out. And T1 are going to go for the kill. They back away from aiming. They do actually respect this Zeri quite a lot. As we can see, Sundisk was put up.
Zeus has TP, so he could just return.
Well, BDD, can he be the hero? He does manage to wipe out the Lucian. Because now Keria's going to try and swim away from this. Aiming, fighting as best he can. But Faker, he's a tank, guys. He's a raid boss. And Keria's going to get yet another kill. 3-0-6 here on the Nami. And it was a valiant attempt there from KT at the very end. But they're going to need more than this if they want to take down T1. Game number